Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sort of like making my dream art style, what I've always wanted my art to look like, and I want you to join me along on this journey, so let's get started. So my plan on how to tackle this is I'm going to be looking at and analyzing three of my favorite artists' art, plus probably some arcane art because it's my guilty pleasure. It's so good. And so one of those artists is going to be Gretel Lusky. I love her art so much. Her art style is beautiful. And I was actually inspired to make this from this section in here of like what inspired her and what sort of art styles have influenced their art journey. So for them, they're influenced by like Teen Titans, Winx Club, Art Nouveau movement as a whole, specific artists. So I kind of want to like take that concept of like mashing up different styles together and make my dream art style with that. With Gretel Lusky, she said that this was kind of like a subconscious thing. So I just want to see what happens when I do it like on purpose. The next artist we're going to be looking at is Abigail Larson. She is one of my favorite artists. I discovered her through my tarot deck I have. Well, I have 3 tarot decks by her now, but the first one I got was the Dark Woods Tarot. And her art style is just gorgeous. These are just her sketches, and her sketching is beautiful, breathtaking. And she goes through like her process and techniques she uses a little bit, like over here, researching and referencing. Let's see, let me see if I can find some finished photos by her. Yeah, here is her art gallery. Can you see that? A little bit. This is her art gallery. She does a lot of like vampire artwork, which is gorgeous. Here she drew Medusa. I'm just in love with her art style. And then the third artist I'm going to be looking at is Prickly Alpaca, who a lot of y'all may know here on YouTube. She is just my YouTube crush, I think is how I would describe her. And her finished artworks, magnificent. I could eat it. So good. But those are the 3 artists I'm going to be looking at, plus probably some arcane. So I'm going to put together a sort of like mood board of them, and we'll just go from there. I didn't record this part, but I practiced drawing my original character Solveig, who is a Old Norse or Viking vampire in the art styles of these 3 different artists. I feel like I had the easiest time drawing her in Gretel Lusky's art style. It was so much easier to figure out what was distinctive about the art style, in my opinion, and it helps that I did have some practice drawing in her art style previously, as I had bought her Mossery kit, which had a coloring book and a guide to drawing in her art style. I also, as you saw earlier, have her art book as well, so that was a great help and a great reference. I had a much harder time drawing Solveig in Prickly Alpaca's art style. I'm not entirely sure why, considering that I watch Prickly Alpaca all the time, but I think I just had a much harder time figuring out what was distinctive about her art style. And Abigail Larson's art style, I think it looks like her, but I think the proportions are all off. I think I made the forehead a little too big, which is a consistent struggle I have whenever I try to recreate Abigail Larson's art style. So after I did this, I decided, you know what, I need to just sit down and actually study their art styles, which is what I'm doing here. I am currently working on Gretel Lusky, studying her art style, and I drew directly off of the page where she shows like the proportions for her art style and goes into what she thinks makes her art style unique. And so one of the things that she noted is like the way she does her proportions, how many heads tall characters on average seem to be. And one of the things that I find distinctive about her art style is her use of line weight. There's a lot of like line variation in it. There's a lot of really thick lines, really thin lines. The line variation is much more dramatic than the line variation of a lot of other people's art styles, which I particularly enjoy, and it makes items like hair especially enjoyable to draw. I also love her usage of color. I don't end up using color in this drawing at all. Missed opportunity, I kind of wish I did, but the drawing that I was copying didn't have any color in it. It was entirely grayscale, so I decided to just stick with that. I find her anatomy to be, I don't know, she just has such a like in-depth knowledge of anatomy. Her art style may be cartoony and she may be taking a lot of like creative liberties. It's very like anime inspired, I would call it. But she obviously has a lot of knowledge of like what muscles like look like, what goes to where, proportions and all that stuff. She certainly mastered the basics before experimenting and exaggerating, which I find very inspiring. Next, I decided to replicate Prickly Alpaca's art style by drawing two of her fruit vampires from her Creating Vampires Inspired by Fruit video. The character I'm drawing here is her character Ruby, and this video was actually one of the things that inspired me to create my own vampire OC. Again, I really struggled here, especially with Ruby. I had a really hard time with the proportions, getting it all right. I think I made the jawline a little too soft, but anytime I'd make it sharper, it looked wrong as well. I think I made the face a little too thin. I love the way that Prickly Alpaca draws her eyes, though. Like the way she makes her pupils usually white, and the way she draws vampires' mouths when they're closed as well. Like she does the thing where she draws the fangs like over top of their lips instead of having them be inside her mouths like you typically see with a lot of vampires. And I really like her Ruby sketch. She put like color over the black and white, and I love when you juxtapose one singular color with black and white. Here I am also still drawing one of Prickly Alpaca's vampire characters. This one I think looks a lot closer to my reference photo. The proportions are still kind of off, but I love how messy Prickly Alpaca's art style is. I feel like I can be a lot more sketchy and loose and have it still look like her. I love like little lines that she draws on the nose and little lines she draws on the cheeks and everything. I think I made the eyes a little bit too big and the nose. The face in general is just a bit too big, I think, but what can you do? You'll see here there is a Medusa that I forgot to record. I didn't realize I didn't record her until after I finished recording everything else, so I couldn't go back and redraw it or anything like that. But that was me trying to recreate Abigail Larson's Medusa drawing. And here I am trying to recreate one of her sketches from the Sketching from the Imagination Dark Arts book. Again, I still had the problem of the forehead's a bit too big. It's just, I don't know. I have a much easier time recreating Gretel Lusky's. But now we are on to me trying to mash what I realized I liked about recreating their art styles together into one cohesive art style that I am happier with. And so you can see me here trying to figure out posing and all that stuff. I decided that I wanted to stick with drawing my character Solveig. Like, I started the video with her, I got to end the video like mashing them into my dream art style. This also is me trying to discover how I want to render my pieces, especially digitally. I don't do a whole lot of digital art. I am definitely a traditional artist first and foremost before anything else. So, and I'm never really happy with the rendering of my art whenever I try to do digital art, I guess. This is the best piece I've done so far, and I think it's because I've been watching a lot of Prickly Alpaca's art videos, trying to like study how she colors things in, and I didn't perfectly recreate it. Um, the time lapse is also kind of a bit messy because I'm trying to figure out like how I want to screen record everything as I'm drawing. This is the first time I've recorded one of these to be posted, so I hope it looks good. I hope it's not like too chaotic and too many moving parts. The line weight here is not as extreme as Gretel Lusky's line weight in her artwork, but I decided to still keep her art in mind in terms of when thinking about like where I want to put my thicker lines and my thinner lines. But I figured that the really dramatic variation in line weight just wouldn't suit the sort of style that I am looking for. I also decided I wanted to add these sort of like circle cheeks or whatever that Abigail Larson sometimes has on her characters. That was one of the first things I noticed about her art style, and anytime I see it on a piece of artwork I see online, I usually think to myself that Abigail Larson probably drew it, and 9 times out of 10, I'm correct. It's just like such a distinctive part of her art style. I think the face beyond that looks the most like Prickly Alpaca's art style, especially the eyes. I wanted to try my best to draw the eyes closer to how Prickly Alpaca draws her eyes, like especially with like the white pupils and everything. I think especially for this character it adds a sort of supernatural flair. I know that Prickly Alpaca also does those pupils for non-supernatural characters and stuff like that, but I decided it's just one of the ways I would denote that this character is a vampire. I don't know what I'll do about the eyes for non-vampiric characters, but I'll figure it out. This probably won't be like my normal sketching art style, probably just turn to like my digital art style. But regardless, I decided to turn on the reference on Procreate so that y'all could actually like see more of what I was doing on the character as well, because I realized the amount of times that I was zooming in and out, you'd probably have like a hard time seeing the whole character. And I just wanted y'all to be able to have something consistent to focus on as you're drawing this, to hopefully like relax the eyes a little bit, not be too chaotic, add like a little bit of calm to the storm. I had such a hard time with the gloves and the arms. The gloves are supposed to be cat fur lined gloves, and the reasoning for that is in one of the Greenland sagas they come across a Sather practitioner or like Norse magic practitioner, and part of her like magic uniform or whatever is cat fur lined gloves because the goddess of magic Freya rides a chariot drawn by cats. So, but it was really hard to try. Like, one of the hands just kept looking too thick. The other one, it didn't really look like there was gloves on that hand at all. I also had a hard time drawing the arm for the hand that was on the hip as well. I eventually figured it out, but I also had a hard time figuring out like how I wanted the staff to be posed with her as well, whether I wanted the head of the staff to be on the upper part of the picture or the lower part of the picture, whether I wanted it to go behind or in front of her. I eventually decided in front of her, and I wanted to make the staff look more like a distaff. which was used to keep the wool in when one is spinning yarn, in my opinion. And a lot of people seem to not really think about this, but in my opinion, I think that the staffs that Old Norse sailor workers used were distaffs. It connects with like all the use of like spinning and yarn and fiber arts that is very prevalent in Norse mythology. So it just makes the most sense to me, and a lot of scholars agree with me. But there's a lot of like modern day sailor practitioners that don't take that into account. And you know what? You do you, boo. But I just love the history of fiber arts so much. So I did play around with maybe using her hair to silhouette cat ears. I wanted to hopefully add some like shape language into this, but I had a hard time figuring out how to make some of the curls look like cat ears in a way that like made sense and fit the vibes of the picture. I didn't want to make her look like a cat girl with that. So it was kind of an interesting balancing act, and I don't think I fully succeeded. Coloring this in was a bit of a mess, so I put in all of the flat colors first, and I hope I picked cohesive colors. Color theory is not really my strong suit. Even though I've studied it a lot, I don't actually think about it a whole lot as I am coloring. So, especially my digital art, where I can't really have a limited color palette, it can oftentimes end up looking disjointed. The colors could look all over the place. That's part of why I tend to prefer traditional art, is because I can limit my color palette by picking only like 2 or 3 colors to use for the entire time and mixing them together. I especially enjoy using gouache in my traditional art. Gouache and watercolors are two of my favorite mediums, and it makes doing limited color palettes so much easier because I can do like monochromatic without having 10 million art supplies in front of me, and everything is like the exact same tone and everything. I also had a hard time figuring out what color I wanted her dress to be, because in my head, I wanted it to be green to fit with the fact that she had red hair, but I also wanted to make the background green. And green was not a traditional color associated with sailor. Two traditional colors are black and blue, and that is because the word for black that they used back then was the same word that they used for blue. They referred to the color of raven's feathers as blue, and so that's why I ultimately picked blue. I feel like green would have gone with the color of her hair a lot more than the blue did. I'm not entirely sure if the blue clashes at all or not. I don't think it clashes. Let me know what you think about my color choices in the comments if you have any critiques on it. But I did the best I could with what I had in my head, especially because she's a pretty new character. And when I initially designed her, I designed her entirely monochromatic. I just used uh, red on in my sketchbook and just sketched her entirely in red, never bothered coloring her in. My bad. I should have thought about her harder. Don't attack me or anything. I decided to make the gloves black as well. I should have left them white because if I remember correctly, they were white fur gloves that were described in the Icelandic saga. But I figured that the black gloves would match the black of her dress a lot more than the white would. I think the white would have clashed too much um, with the dress and everything. Shading was what I had the hardest part with. Once I got the flats in, I had no clue where to go with the shading. The shading and coloring in this is very, very messy. It's my best job that I've done, but the bar is sunk below the crust of the earth. If you notice on her bag, the rune Anzu, I believe, it is on her little pouch. I decided that pouch would be where she kept her runes for divination, and the rune Anzu is often used to represent the god Odin, and more specifically, like divination and communication with the gods, like getting a message from the divinity, the divine. Uh, Oftentimes, when people will put the meanings of the runes into just one word, they'll choose the word letter, like sending a letter to someone. So I figured it would be very fitting to have on the pouch that she keeps her like divination tools in. And she also has a Mjolnir chain on her as well. I'm debating how much I want to keep that in terms of like her story, but for this drawing, it filled in a gap that I felt I had in this. But in the story, like why, especially because she would be a devotee of Hel, why, and Thor's protector of mankind, why would Thor protect a devotee of Hel that also attacks and kills humans? I don't know. Something for me to figure, for future me to figure out. Or I could just decide that she doesn't wear a Mjolnir necklace. Who knows? If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I should be able to start posting more content here soon now that finals is almost over. They should be finishing up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then hopefully I can start a regular schedule during the summer. But thank you all so much for watching. Bye!